The gist from Melissa Bell. Eleonora Bottini is the Professor of Public Law at the University of Caen in Normandy. Professor, good to see you. I'm grateful. Let's just be clear about this.
Thank you.
As I read the case itself, there was a valid cause to bring the charge about how she had employed these various assistants and whether this was a correct or proper use of EU funds. So the actual prosecution per se doesn't sound like it was overtly political.
I agree, it doesn't. The law is very clear. The defense argued a miscommunication or misunderstanding with the administration of the European Parliament, but it doesn't seem to be so. Accusations are actually legally pretty sound, and the judgment actually puts together the piece of a puzzle of a larger scheme that the entire party has pursued for some time.
So now we come to the interesting bit, in a sense, don't we? Did the judge have discretion, or was it a sort of a mandate that if you are convicted and you are sentenced, you are ineligible? Was there discretion to let her continue to stand for public office?
Yes, actually, the judge had discretion, a double sense of discretion. One, for the additional sanction on being barred from public office, so ineligibility. And the second one was to apply it immediately and not wait for the final appeal. For the first, the interesting thing is that now, with a more recent law, this sanction of ineligibility would be automatic, but it wasn't at the time of the facts. And so the judge both says that she has to apply the former law, which is more lenient towards politicians accused of embezzlement, but then the fact that the law has changed signals that the legislator wanted to toughen up sanctions. So also that is taken into account.
Right, so there is rationale for doing it. The problem is 11 million people who supported Le Pen are basically going to be saying this is a fix-up, this is a stitch-up. She was done over. And that not only calls into question the judicial process, but also the electoral process.
Yes, and the judge does acknowledge that in her judgment. She says that the French people must decide, because the tribunal renders judgment in the name of the people. And she explicitly says the people is not a fraction of the electorate, even if it's a big fraction, but it is the people as a whole.
So how do they get out of this mess? In a sense that this will obviously continue. Does she hand over the reins to her number two?
That's possible. She said that right away, even though she said she wasn't done with politics, but at the same time, in the same interview, she also says that Jordan Bardella is a big asset for the party. So signaling that he might take over in a way. He's a bit too young, though, for presidential elections, so I'm not sure they have decided what's going to happen. She's going to appeal also right away, and so appeal can be quick.
So let's talk about the legal side versus the political. To your tutored eye, is there any way she can legally get back in the race?
The only way would be for the appeal to be quicker than the 2027 presidential election. It's definitely not sure. It is even probable because the campaign is going to start way earlier. And so she must be sure to be able to run, to initiate a campaign that cannot be last minute. So I think if the appeal doesn't go as fast as she's hoping, then they will find another candidate just to be sure.
Professor, how lucky we are to have had you this evening to guide us through the labyrinth of the French legal system. And I look forward to talking to you again, as I'm sure this hasn't gone away. This might just be resting. We'll be back. Thank you, Professor.